This is new hardware, which is always exciting, I think, to talk about new hardware. And this is an interesting new headset called the Decagear 1. And it's from a company in Singapore called Megadodo Simulation Games. So if that name alone doesn't inspire confidence, then...
Master Business Company VR?
We've got some crackers, yeah.
Are those the ones who also made the Dodo Island game?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
No. They weren't, no.
Okay.
But that's the company name, Megadodo Simulation Games. They're making this headset.
Okay.
So this was announced this week, surprise announcement, kind of like took everyone by surprise. Yeah. And it's a PC-based headset, so it's not standalone, so just bear that in mind. Not competition for the Quest, but it might be competition for some other PC VR headsets. Fully compatible with Steam VR. The headset uses 4 inside-out tracking cameras that are based on the front sort of corners of the headset. It features a 2160 by 2160 resolution per eye display, which is kind of comparable with what HP are offering with the HP Reverb G2, which is nice. Runs at 90 hertz. We don't know really about field of view. They haven't mentioned that, so I'm just assuming that it's running at the standard sort of like 110 degrees field of view. But what's interesting about this headset is that it's kind of built and designed specifically with multiplayer VR experiences in mind. So this is kind of interesting.
How?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So it features facial tracking using 2 infrared cameras, one located in between the lenses and one just above your mouth. And this is to track your eyes, eye movement, and mouth. And they call this technology face flow. That's kind of what they're calling it. So not only are your eyes tracked, but also your eyelids, your eyebrows, your upper nose, your forehead, mouth, lips, cheeks, and even your tongue, which is going to be very interesting in social experiences like VRChat if they can support the SDK, because you need to implement the SDK for this functionality to work.
And
for tongue tracking,
good as well. The way they do it, like if you see the video, like it looks. I mean, it's not perfect since I believe they track like 50 muscles, and your face has like a lot of muscles that in order to use to get impression. But it's like a next kind of level that they show in order to get some basic impressions of and you have tongue tracking, very important.
So this is a consumer headset.
Consumer headset, yeah.
With face tracking.
With face tracking.
That would be the first.
And tongue tracking and forehead tracking and eye tracking?
Yeah, because the HP Omnicept edition is mainly aimed at business.
Yeah, that's also
consumers can buy it, but it's aimed at business.
Okay, and also that would be the first one then.
So it would be the first aimed at consumers, I guess. Yeah, you're right. Okay. They've also got some interesting other bits and pieces, and let me dive into this a little bit. They've also got a sensor which is included in the bundle called a Deca Move, and this attaches to your hip, right? So it's a little puck, like it's almost like a Vive tracker that attaches to your hip. And this is what they state. I don't really get this that much. Maybe you guys will understand it better than I did. But they state that this is so players' move direction would be based on their hip and where the hip is facing to provide a natural movement control and continuous locomotion, freeing players' hands to focus on interaction and the head to spectate around for risks and opportunities.
Oh, that's super.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
That's brilliant.
Like, I really do. Because they did a really short video on like explaining, the kind of course that they went from, like, trying to develop a movement solution for virtuality, because there is not a really perfect motion solution. You either have head tracking or you have hand tracking in virtuality. Yeah. The problem with head tracking is that you will always run to where you're aiming at, basically. For let's take the example of a first-person shooter. But from an ideal point of view, you kind of want to run into a certain direction and shoot in a different direction, maybe.
You want to strafe, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or you want to shoot backwards or whatever, but you can't do that with head tracking, because you will always be running into the direction that you're looking at, therefore also the direction that you're shooting. So games like Onward or Pavlov, they have something called hand tracking, where you push like a controller forward, and then in the direction of where your hand is, you will move forward or backwards or whatever it is. The problem with that is if you use 2 hands with trying to aim or stuff, sometimes you will not always be able to move in a certain direction. So ideally, you would have to decouple movements from hand tracking as well, since it's kind of a next step. But if you think of it, like your body is always kind of like aimed in the direction that you're running, unless you're, for example, strafing, but that's a different kind of movement. So you can easily do that with a controller. So if you can disconnect that and connect it to, for example, the hip movement, you basically can just push a button or use the controller in order to move in the direction that your hip is facing. And I think that's a really, really good solution in order to, especially for like first-person shooters, and especially if you're playing competitively, that you have a full decoupling of the forward movement from your hands and from your head.
I think it's ingenious. It's the first time I've heard of hip tracking, and instantly when you described it, Mike, brain just clicked. That would be so useful. The only question then is, would it be available platform level and be supported ubiquitously across the applications? Because if it's going to be an API related to that hardware or require development time, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
This headset is far ahead of its time. As we just said, it's the first one that has all of these features. The rest of the headsets are not doing that yet. They're kind of, well, you know,
a lot of the features that they're listing are kind of like the features that I was like expecting in like the Quest 2 of like, you know, being the next generation. But I mean, I don't know if it's true, of course, you know, we have to see this. And it's always a bit like, I'm not going to say suspicious, but it's always a bit like weird when you see this small company come out of nowhere, except for when it happens.
Especially with the Megadodo game title.
Yeah, but I do like a lot of the things that they're saying and promising and doing.
But it's interesting. The way you described it kind of made it click in my mind. I didn't really kind of get where they were going with it, but you explained it very well, Rowdy. So thank you very much for that.
They did it with the Valve pucks. You remember those Vive pucks? They did that as well, where you could attach them to different parts of your body, and then hip tracking was one of those things as well. And several games implemented it, and I believe even that. Was it Pavlov or Onward that supported like that? Because I saw in the list of the new VRChat headset that you mentioned that they listed Pavlov in there as well, and I was wondering that they listed Pavlov in there because it's
already
supported something similar like that. Don't quote me on that since I'm not sure of that, but I think so.
I guess this will then also come with its own software, must be. And this company, what is their track record in terms of what they did before?
Well, this is the thing, no one knows. No one knows this company's track record.
It's like if they made software or games or maybe tech before, then it would make sense. But I've never heard of this company before.
No.
And even if I did, then I with that name. Sorry, but the name is very strange.
It's very strange and off-putting.
They don't mention that name anywhere. That name comes from LinkedIn. Obviously, they don't put that on the website.
But I looked it up.
And
that's correct. That is the name. Because I looked it up too, and I saw that the guy is originally from Israel. He is in Thailand right now, according to LinkedIn, and the company, as you said, is from Singapore.
Yeah.
And there were no other employees I could find. He's the only one.
There are other employees listed on the website, which you can also find on LinkedIn.
Okay.
But they don't have any bios or any information about any of the employees right now.
Well, this is like one of those moments where, of course, right now conferences are hard. I don't think CES in January is going to happen with how the pandemic is going. But it's going to be interesting to see if he can finally demo it. If it's really that good, you know, and if it's really I'm open for something. This sounds again like experimental. This is kind of like how Pimax started, I guess.
Exactly.
Where they also had to start from scratch, and people I don't know if this is going to be any good. But I'm totally open, because the thing is, PC VR isn't having that much activity, and if this is really paving the way, cool. But I feel like I don't know, an average consumer, I don't even know if they would be able to afford something like this.
I think Pimax is the perfect analogy, though, because this is exactly where they're standing as a company. Apparently, 10-person team, starting off with some pretty strong, unique selling points for a new headset. I don't particularly like the aesthetic of the headset. The kind of look and design of it looks a little bit like a space mask or something. You like it, Rowdy?
I love it. I love the look of it. It looks like some kind of space
stormtrooper.
It looks epic.
So I
might even wear it on the streets.
In the car while driving.
I want to get into the controllers a little bit because they're quite unique, and I've also got the price as well, because I think the price is really interesting, and I think that's where I think you'll be surprised about the price, because the controllers look like a cross between the Oculus Touch controllers and the Index controllers, in that it has like an inverted tracking ring for the inside-out tracking, but it also has like a grip which tracks individual finger movements, and also has a strap that runs across the back of your hand, a bit like the Index controller, so it's kind of fixed to your hand. So I think that's kind of interesting. They've kind of merged both designs, which is kind of smart because, it's kind of picked the best of both.
To me, it looks a bit. Go ahead. To me, it looks a bit like they've looked at a lot of the pain points of like the other headsets and the strong points, and they kind of merged everything together and then added some features that I think are very promising. I'm going to be honest, like I'm very excited about if they can deliver on this kind of product. I think that would change the market in general. I'm far more excited about this than just the extension in field of view that Pimax was promising. And I also feel like the way that they have marketed this and the way that their website looks, that they're kind of like aimed at a market that is feeling a bit more professional as well. So I don't really agree with the full analogy of the, it's a little bit the Pimax feeling, although I do get where it comes from. But I do feel that there's like a certain level of professionalism implemented straight from the get-go.
But like Pimax, that like instantly sounds negative. But when Pimax started off, like this experimental thing was, everyone was very open to that, and they have been trying some new things, and some things worked very well and some things didn't. So I'm just saying that it's nice to see a company who is making something again for the VR enthusiast, who wants something experimental, wants something that is maybe not ready for the future just yet, but you can buy it and get your hands on it.
I think Pimax really scrambled. I think Pimax really scrambled because they kind of overcommitted on what they were going to deliver and then underperformed in the eyes of the consumer. And when you're a smaller company looking to do well, you need to focus on a product and deliver it. And they ended up going into this tailspin of let's make 10 different variants of the headset, which is not helpful, actually. They should have just doubled down and fixated on one decent build, and then marketing that build, making sure that's fully supported, great software stack, easy user documentation, and then they would have found themselves, at very least, a niche of people who love that headset. They still have that, but I think that these guys, the only thing I have against the Decagear 1 is perhaps the fact that they've got a logo that, to me, it just seems to steal from the Index. Like, it looks like they just lifted the Index logo and dropped a line out of it. And I would like to see them differentiate themselves. I don't care if it's a pirate head or a kitten, but pick a different logo. Like, don't just pick off of one that's already existing.
Well, the thing is, they could go for two strategies here. They could go or for what Pimax did, where they have something that might not be ready yet, and they just hype people up, try to gather an audience, try to build up a community. And when they're then feeling it, they're going to throw it on Kickstarter or somewhere else. And based on that money, based on the investments, they're going to build it.
Price point as well.
Yeah, right? But they're going to build it, or they already have something and they don't need that. That's what I'm wondering. If it's the second, then I feel a little bit more attracted to this headset where they already have something.
So how much is this thing? How much is this thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So the official website states that you can lock in your pre-order today by just dropping.
You can pre-order.
So you can secure a pre-order. So you got to pre-order a pre-order basically by dropping $10. Yeah. So you pay $10 and that secures your place in the queue to buy one.
This is what I'm saying. This is kind of weird.
Yeah, everything about this is weird. The first batches will be shipping in May 2021, and the whole kit will cost $449 US.
That's not possible.
So that's headset, tracking, hip tracking puck, and controllers, and that's like obviously a Steam VR compatible headset, PC VR. Wait, there's more. They're also going to be selling a battery module for the headset to allow it to be played wirelessly with Steam VR for up to 6 hours for just $49.
Wait, how's the wireless transmission catered for? How does that work?
So apparently it's already got Wi-Fi built into it, or the Wi-Fi module is built into this battery somehow.
Then they're driving off of an Android device and they're doing it over Wi-Fi.
Price-wise, this doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense.
You can't tell me that you can buy that stuff for that price.
I don't know. I don't think that a lot of the technology that they're using is technology that already exists. Like it's The reason why Facebook can drive the cost so much down is because they don't have to do R&D. The technology that is into an Oculus Quest isn't spectacularly new technology. It's the software that makes it so expensive often. But Facebook, being the billion-dollar companies, can reduce that price. If they somehow can leverage that technology into and use their own hardware, then I don't think the hardware cost would be so high.
So believe it or not, we're not the only ones that were skeptical about this. They've got.
I don't like. The thing is, I don't want to be skeptical though. I don't.
Well,
want to be.
I think it's wise to be right now.
I have to in this case.
They've got an official Discord, and there's been a lot of people jumping in there asking questions. And someone did ask a very good question, and they shared the screenshot, which I could talk about. So this is from O'Daniel from the official Discord, and he asked this question, which is a really good question. I think we're all asking this in our heads. Is there anything you can say as to the validity of the claims being made on your website? As far as the VR community is concerned, you guys came a bit out of nowhere, and your claims, coupled with the $449 price tag for the first batch, make some people question how feasible this is, including claims of scams. Disclosure, I made such a claim myself on Twitter last night. No accusations, just curious. I did reserve a unit for myself.
Okay.
And one of the developers, one of the team from Deca did respond. This is from Asuna. I understand your concerns. We have come from nowhere. That's because of Deca's modest approach over the past 3 years. Deca team has been focusing on the development of this product instead of building fancy presentations for investors and VC. It has all been funded from early stage investments that originated from private funds. It has been a long journey with a tremendous amount of R&D has been going into this. There are many moving parts in such a product. Nothing is new or groundbreaking. It's just a consolidation of talents that come together. Deca will be sharing here some videos to make you all more intimately familiar with the team, get a closer look into R&D process of a product such as this. We will cover many aspects of the development, such as AI model development, product design, prototyping with 3D printing, PCB weddings, lenses, controllers, and some of their components, such as pressure sensors. You will get to decide for yourself if it looks legitimate enough or not. Things are going to be progressing, and we are moving in the right direction.
I think that's a great response. And that's the thing. I'm saying, I don't really have the Pimax feeling here, because it feels like it is being handled in a way that critics like to see this handled. Like I myself, I also want to be. I'm still skeptical of it. I'm not saying that it's going to be this great headset and we're going to all be playing that in May 2021. I don't think that time frame is realistic at all at this point, but. I do want to give them the benefit of the doubt, merely based on the technology that they've shown, the video presentations that they've made. I am very curious if they can pull this off. And I don't think that it's impossible, because again, like I said, like the technology that is in there is not surprisingly new or is something groundbreaking. And they even said it themselves. It's more like consolidation of the technology brought together. And I think that's a really great strategy to go from.
But would you also throw in $10 right now?
No, of course not.
Because that's the thing. That's the thing. Because
$10.
If a lot of people throw $10 in it, then they again vote with their wallets. I would say, once again, like I'm saying this all the time, don't pre-order. Wait until this thing is on a conference or something, and people tried it. So Road to VR, Upload VR, maybe some of us too. Like I'm very interested in trying it. But the thing is, as long as it hasn't been shown to the public and people have tried it, that we know within the VR industry, don't throw your $10 in, because then you're getting into a whole new. Like that's
I completely agree with that. The only thing I'm saying is saying that it's not possible is just not correct, because I do think that this kind of headset could be delivered
for that price.
For that price point, I do think so.
Cheaper build quality. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I just don't know if they'll be able to pull that off in the time frame that they suggest, but I do think it's possible.
I think that because we keep talking about Pimax as well, I think Pimax did make it harder for them to pull this off, because the thing is, there has been a trust issue within the community since Pimax came around. Let's say Pimax was never there and this came out, we would have all been like, oh, here's my $10, here, take my $10. But now we have learned from what happened before, and that's why we're kind of
The thing we really need to know is, did Mike pre-order? Because then we definitely hold on.
No, I
just
didn't.
$10, Mike, just $10.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to put your credit card details in the website. This company, like I've never, like you say, we've never heard of this company before. Do you really trust them with your credit card details, like giving them your PIN number on the back?
Well,
if it was PayPal, I would have done. If it was PayPal, I would have done it because I can claim that back.
There's so many people who are gonna do that. They are gonna do that.
Yeah.
Because there is always, like, I've seen it with Pimax too. There is a group of VR enthusiasts who spend a lot of money on all these accessories and all these things they get, and they keep on buying and buying and buying. I think that's the group this is for, you know?
Yeah.
For the people who have like VR headsets as a hobby and want to just kind of be the engineer of their own headset and be like, oh, I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna add that. I don't know if this doesn't sound like a consumer product right now, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe it will.
Chat has a good solution to this. Do you want to do a pre-order? And I'd agree with it, which is if you take either a prepaid card or a virtual card from a credit card company instead, so you're not exposing your primary account number and details.
Yeah, but
that's an option.
You shouldn't throw in $10 at all. Just don't.
If you're skeptical enough to go out and have to find a virtual card, then you know the answer already.
And just make sure you get a burner phone at the same time. Get a burner phone, get your prepaid card, right? A nice long leather jacket to conceal.
Put a tinfoil hat on.
Fake ID. Yeah. I know a guy who can do all of that.
I want
mine to be McLovin.
I just want to know if anyone in chat now went to the website and put the $10 down before we said don't do it. Because if it was me listening to new hardware and going, oh, there's an open pre-order, does anyone else feel the same way where it's like you hear about new equipment and you immediately want to be first in the queue?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I wonder if someone did that in chat. If you did, fess up. We won't laugh, I promise.
And if it was from like a company like Asus or something like that, then I would have done it in a heartbeat because it's like a reputable company that we know, or Asus or whatever you want to pronounce it. But Megadodo Games, I've never heard of them in my life, so I don't trust them with my credit card details. Of course not. But
the biggest problem The biggest problem I still have with it is, we have already all this amazing technology available right now, and half of it is not being used. We have Oculus Touch controllers, we have finger tracking in the knuckle controllers. How many games can you count on your two hands that fully use the maximum amount of those two headsets?
But that's against software as well. Like if someone actually invests into the software instead of just the headset.
But hang on, aside from the software, I agree the software is probably the part here that is Oculus's biggest lead. The XR2 chip, as we said when we first demoed it, is opening a door with a lot on board on die that people can tap into. So I would expect in 2021, forgetting the 2020 interruptions that we've had, more competitors, small, kind of odd, unique selling point features in the product to be popping up in unique offerings from companies we've never heard of. I am fully expecting that in the next 9 months, we're going to see more like this. It's just funny seeing it on this side of the year because I, like you guys, I probably wasn't expecting to see this. It came out of the blue, and so you're immediately kind of suspicious. But I bet you there's going to be more cousins to this thing, and we're probably going to be talking about, between now and next summer, probably 20 different new headsets that someone's making.
All PC VR, by the way, or are we going to see some standalone action too?
I hope standalone action as well.
HTC is apparently going to announce another headset, so who knows? Focus 2, who knows?
But we should all remember as well. Like I know we're being critical because we don't know this company, but we should all remember that we didn't know Oculus when they first started the Kickstarter campaign back in the day. We didn't know. We all just chucked our money blindly at the screens.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's true.
I saw Carmack put his thumb up, and then I was in. That's
true. Actually, that's true. Gabe was there and Carmack was there. True.
The landscape has changed where things like that don't work like that anymore because there have been examples out there of headsets that are amazing. So as I said before, if we can try it and see how good it is, sure, I'm happy to
the internet has a very short memory, Nathy. Very short.
I know. Like we always get hyped over headsets that haven't even been shown yet.
I think we've always been fairly critical. I think we're critical now as well, but like I said before, I do think it's possible. I don't think it's impossible with the suggesting that, and I think the price point is also realistic, especially in this market. If you don't have a price point like that,
that's true.
You can forget about the consumer market.
What do you guys think of there's an image that shows kind of the case, the controllers and all that. Looks kind of sleek to me. What do you guys?
No, I like the design. Looks good.
Yeah, I thought the design looks good. The only thing that I didn't like was the mask. The mask kind of reminds me of a ski mask.
The head strap was kind of like back to the Vive days, you know?
Back to the Vive days again, yeah.
So I don't know how heavy it's going to be, but...
what do you think of the name? Because Gear VR was already a thing. And now this is the Decagear 1, right? Like so.
Decagear 1. Cool name. Yeah. Sounds very much like, what's that anime?
For some reason, Cowboy Bebop is in my head, and that's not what you mean.
But like Watto says in the chat, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
It probably is.
So, I think if they can prove themselves, then yeah, I'm happy to be wrong. Yeah. But very skeptical right now. Yeah, sounds interesting though.
So when do we think that we will be able to try something like this? As I said, I was referring to CES. Maybe CES is still going to happen with I don't know, Corona rules that are going to make it safe for everyone. But it's going to be hard for new hardware manufacturers to show off their products because VR, especially with this stuff, these people need to be at some kind of conference or somewhere for the press to try it. Or they send them out. Maybe they can send them out to some people. But
so people did say it was Sword Art Online. That's exactly what I was referencing to, and they call their stuff Nerve Gear. So that's why I thought it was.
Oh, simple. Nerve Gear. Yeah. So I mean, they're saying that it's going to be available, and launching Q1 next year. That's crazy.
Yeah. So if you pay your $10. You can reserve your spot in the queue, get the early pre-orders May 2021. If you don't do it now, then they're going to be pushed back to like July and then October, I believe, the next batches. So
they're okay. That's when they're going to deliver.
Yeah.
May next year.
Very early.
Okay. Okay.
There we go.
There we go. That is the Decagear 1. Interesting tech that we're all a little bit skeptical about.
Well, it's nice that there's some activity in the VR, like PC VR scene. I haven't seen much exciting stuff. I mean, G2, of course, but besides HP, I was like, well, PC VR.
But even that's seen like big delays. They're not shipping until like what?
Well, they just need to
month?
They need to print them out faster.
HP.
That's also, of course, because of the entire pandemic situation.
Sure, of course. But I'm just saying, like they're a big, established, well-respected company.
So it's in Singapore because when I first saw this, like of course right now with the corona it's kind of hard to. But I'm honestly like if they watch this next year, I would love to fly to Singapore and give it a try, and you show me how good it is. Seriously.
There's Nathan's pitch for a plane ticket.
Show me how deep the rabbit hole goes. Yeah. So there you go. Decagear 1. That is our main topic this week. But now it's time for the releases.